Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. I'm going to show you how to change your timing chain tensioner gasket or O-ring on a 2005 Toyota Corolla. And this of course will be the same as many other years of Corolla, along with the Matrix and the Pontiac Vibe. It's a real common oil leak on this motor. This is the 1ZZ-FE. It's not hard to get to. It's kind of by feel. You just come down here with your hand and you can get to that. But I've got a light set up down there. I'm going to try to show you with the camera what we're doing here. So I'm just going to come down here and turn around, and there's the tensioner right there. They're 10mm nuts. You just need to use a deep socket on there and take those off, and then we can pull out the tensioner. Just putting my glove back here. You can see this finger right there on that nut, and then the one right below it. You can see it's just kind of like past this little stabilizer or engine support mount. So I'm just using a flexible head socket wrench with a deep 10mm socket on there, and these break loose fairly easily. Once you break it loose, you can spin them off with your hand. There's the first nut there. Second one. Alright, so you can see right down there I've got the nut off here. I'm just kind of tapping that with my finger so you can see where I'm pointing the camera here. I'm going to zoom back out. That's where that's at. So again, it's not hard to get to. You just kind of have to reach from behind the engine over here. Now that we have the nuts off, I'm just going to reach back here with a little flat blade screwdriver and see if I can pry this off or pry the tensioner out. Pull on that or pry it with a screwdriver. It's definitely been leaking. What we're going to do is we're going to reuse this tensioner. So I'm going to clean it up and I'll show you how to push it back in and reset it. This got this little hook here on the side. Doesn't have to be perfect, but wipe off some of that junk. Now to push this back in, you need to orient the hook out this direction, and then this part right here, you just push down with your finger and then press this back in. Now this is going to be full of oil, the body of this, so it's not going to want to push in easily. You see all that oil coming out. And then just press the hook back on, and almost got it. Oops. See, it's ratcheting, so you gotta, we'll clean that off here again. All that old oil came out. Let's try that again. So it's pressed down here, press it in, and when you hold it down, just got to push that hook over. There we go. Now we got it clipped in place. You may have to try once or twice, just because all that oil in there kind of causes some resistance or some pressure when you're pushing that in. Now we're just going to change the O-ring here. This is a Dorman part, 926240. I'll put a link in the description. Also, you can buy the OEM O-ring, and that's probably what I would normally get. This is just what we had local. Of course, I'll get a link to this in the description. Also, you may just want to replace the tensioner. It's not a bad idea, especially if your vehicle's got a lot of miles on it. But I'm just going to dig out this old O-ring, and just using one of these little hook tools. You know, a lot of old O-rings, you take them off, they're real brittle, or they're flattened out. This is still somewhat pliable, so hopefully this will stop this from leaking. It does feel more snug though. Just get the new O-ring started, just pull it down like that, and we'll just make sure we get a little bit of oil. This is just some new engine oil on the new O-ring. Make sure that that's lubed up and that will seal well. Now it's a good idea to wipe the surface, the mating surface, really clean. Although the sealing surface is really just on the inside. It's the O-ring is what seals that and prevents it from leaking. But it's a good idea to have it clean so that can sit flush. Now this only goes in one way. So the plunger here is kind of downward towards the driver's side. So when you put it in, you kind of orient it like that, Just be careful not to knock this clip off while you're putting it in, and we're going to go ahead and just put that back down. It just slides right into place over those studs. Put the nuts back on. Just get them started by hand. Top one here. There you can see the tensioner with the nut started on it right there. It's still kind of hanging out, it's still a little loose, but we'll get that tightened up here in a minute. Now keep in mind, that's going to feel pretty snug when you're putting it in because of that new O-ring. So you will have to get on here and probably use a wrench to turn it till it's completely up against the block and completely flush. Alright, now I just wanted to kind of show you down here as well. Maybe you can see that I've got my socket end down. The end of my socket is right there. The torque spec on this is 80 inch-pounds, which is only about 6 or 7 foot-pounds. So just keep that in mind when you're tightening those. Don't overdo it. Alright, now this next step, what you need to do is get a 19mm socket and turn the crankshaft. Now I'm putting two diagrams up here to show you because I didn't film this. The first diagram is showing you turning the engine counterclockwise, and the manual says that that releases the hook from the tensioner, and then turning it clockwise will allow that plunger to come out, pressing up against the slipper, up against the timing chain. I've heard of a lot of people just turning it clockwise slowly until you hear the click of the plunger coming out, and it sounds like that works just fine as well. That's pretty much everything. Just make sure you are full of oil before you head on down the road. And of course, it's a good idea to clean off all the old oil, get some degreaser on there. I like to use that Purple Power stuff and then rinse it off. It works really well, and then that'll give you an idea on if you've got any other oil leaks or any other issues that you need to find. Hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. I'll get a link in the description where you can pick up not only this O-ring, but also a new tensioner. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.